Hey guys, welcome back to the Sagey Bard podcast. Guys, we want to thank you for joining us. On the podcast, we talk about only business. We talk about business. So today we're going to be talking about Amazon and the fact that they are going to be taking more money out of the economy. So obviously, with me, I'm Bard, and with me is my partner.
Seiji.
All right. And so, right off the bat, before we get into our slideshow, what do you think about the fact that Amazon is going to be selling cars? What do you make of that?
Honestly, I'm really excited about this because I think that the model that Tesla and Elon Musk have engaged in since 2013 is a great one. I think that direct to consumers actually cuts out a lot of the unnecessary dealing with salespeople who are trying to mark up a card. You can get closer to what a real value is. The one question I have with when Tesla and I guess Hyundai is the first company that has decided that they're going to sell on Amazon is what happens when you have a return? Are we going to have underneath a little blue tab that slightly
There
used
are no
and much
returns,
used?
guys. No returns. No returns on drunken cars. I'm sure you could. I'm sure there's going to be like a restocking fee.
Oh
That's
yeah,
interesting.
there's got
That's
to be.
that's an interesting actual concept. What happens if a person wants to return a car? Yeah, that's actually a great comment. All right, so guys, quick commercial. We know a lot of you guys are watching, and we appreciate it. The Sagey Bard podcast is trying to grow. However, we're trying to grow our subscriber base. We know that YouTube, whether you sub or not, will share with you guys the videos that we do, but it's really important to us that we grow our subscriber base. So we're asking that you would definitely leave a like because it helps with the algorithm, and consider being a subscriber. We think we add value. We think we have a lot of knowledge that we can share with you guys. Anyway, thank you. Let's get into our slideshow here. Well, our slides. So we just kind of initially we have an article here from TechCrunch, and what it's kind of getting into the meat and potatoes of what's going on with Amazon and these dealers. In the beginning, it says it was inevitable. Amazon, which got its start selling books, is getting into the car business. I can't agree more with that opening statement. What do you think about that opening statement? It is inevitable.
Well, I think that Amazon is kind of like an octopus with its tentacles in many different businesses. And going
Absolutely.
along with what our last podcast was about disrupting and disruptors, this is a great business disruptor. And what we see here is that Hyundai is going to be selling cars on Amazon and they're targeting the second half of 2024, which is not far away.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, honestly,
and
they could
this
do it now. I don't see what's stopping them from doing it now. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, they're probably trying to figure out commissions and compensation structures because this is going to completely upend the entire dealership model. I mean, think about how many Hyundai and Kia dealerships you see because they're both basically a
Mm,
parent and daughter company, and these
yeah.
are huge South Korean conglomerates.
Yep. All right. So look. All right. So let's get into that a little bit real quick before we finish the article. We'll get back into the article, guys, here in just a second. Let's talk about that for a quick second. The Apparently the what they're doing, and I think this is sort of we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but it's fine. We had a little bit of a schedule how we wanted to talk about a few things, but it's totally fine that we talk about this now. What's happening is Amazon, of course, doesn't want to seem threatening to the car dealerships that are in place. So initially, and Hyundai doesn't want to piss the dealers off either. Because remember, the dealerships are franchises, they're businesses, individually owned and operated. And they're selling these cars for the manufacturer. So here's what's interesting. They have to roll this out slowly, and there's a reason why they can't totally obsolesce the dealerships at the moment. Now, let's look at this. Tesla doesn't have dealerships, but I have seen, for the most part, they don't sell their cars through dealerships, but there are some Tesla. I have seen some Tesla dealers, right? There's a few of them, but
Yes.
for the most part, they sell them online. Now, why is that? Why do they primarily sell them online? What is the number one money maker for a car dealership?
It's going to be repairs,
Repairs,
service and maintenance.
down, hands down. And what do we know about electric vehicles and repairs?
Well, they don't have nearly as many problems because there are far fewer parts, and electric motors are a lot more reliable than an internal combustion engine.
Exactly. Sorry about that, guys. So that being said, a lot of the repairs that happened on Teslas weren't actually mechanical repairs. It was like the doors broken or something up with the software. It was something that they could either do remotely or they could send a tech out for. So what's happening is they are signaling to the market what basically Tesla has set the model. Tesla was the test case for electric vehicles to show us what to expect. And Tesla has proven to us that we don't need mechanics. We don't need a parts department because these things don't break. It's all software and electric motors, all extremely reliable parts. Tesla's problem is that they have other issues with, like, manufacturing and stuff like that. So car dealerships. So what do you think's going to happen, Seiji, once car manufacturers stop making internal combustion engines altogether?
Well, I think that's exactly what we're getting to is a place where they don't need the dealerships. They're
They're out
working
of
away
there.
from the dealerships, and it's not really. I don't think it's really the choice of any of these big manufacturers. It's just right now we've got this era that we live in where
Mhm.
we believe that the climate is solely changing due to greenhouse gases and factories.
Mhm.
Ultimately, we're actually producing less greenhouse gases today than we were in 1960, but that's a totally different, a totally different topic. Um,
Yeah.
but as it pertains to vehicles, though, as you move away from an ICE engine, you don't need that whole dealer service network nearly as much. You could have far fewer service centers for your vehicles.
And let me point something out. Had we gone with another viable option to address the climate aspect of this, the green aspect, another viable option would have been fuel cell, which is what Toyota's doing now. Honda has a fuel cell as well. Fuel cell would have been a viable option because the only so-called waste product, and I don't even consider this a waste product, I consider this life, is water. Water
Yep.
is literally the only byproduct of that engine working. Okay. So here's what's happening now with a fuel cell. Um, the fuel cell would not call for a vast reduction in factory size and in employees because the fuel cell, they have to be assembled. The assembly of those things, it's not as, it has a lot of parts. It has, from what I understand, it's on par. Maybe you can look this up while I'm talking. It's on par with a regular internal combustion engine, and um, so So with a fuel cell, from what I've been reading about them and the discussions about whether we should go fuel or electric, they were saying that it would save those jobs, which we know will be cut. Now, in terms of reliability in the dealership model, I don't know how reliable fuel cells are, but I doubt they're as reliable as electric motors. Those are probably the most reliable motors known to man.
Well, I think that they are very reliable, and we know that we're onto something because one of the things that was negotiated in the UAW strike that we just got through a couple of weeks ago
Mm,
was the
right,
fact that a negotiation on retraining employees as we transition into more electrical cars.
right.
Um, and they're very aware that this new auto industry is going to require less workers um, at plants and probably dealerships over time. Because right now, depending on where you're looking, at least the article that Bart and I were looking at, it said that the average dealer in America has about 15.7 non-mechanic or technical employees. That means you have 15 to 20 employees that are working on vehicles and about 16 employees that are working in finance and sales. With what's happening here with Amazon, it's probably going to upend and get rid of, I would say, possibly 10 of those jobs, that are
Yeah,
in the administration and finance departments. Because, the same way you can go on Amazon Prime and you could say, well, I'm going to buy something for 6 months, 0%, no interest, and work out my payment plan. You're probably going to have different options that are set out to even 8 years based
mhm.
on a quick run of your credit and what you qualify for. And, there'll probably be someone on the back end that you could talk to in a dealership. But then you might be able to get rid of 10 of those 16 workers. Then you might be able to get rid of another 5 workers from the technical and mechanics. So you've basically reduced at least 10 people from that dealership and possibly more.
Here's what I see. Here's another possible play that I see happening. Let's just say the manufacturer wanted to keep the dealer in play, right? Um, they would probably do something like what the government does with the cable companies,
Uh-huh.
and the cable companies have a legal monopoly on certain zip codes, right? And I think they would do that with the dealerships. And if you wanted to buy a Tesla, excuse me, an electric car, and you wanted to pick up at that dealership, because the dealership, I mean, they could still house cars, right?
Yes.
And they could do deliveries, which is what the article is saying. We'll get back into the article here in a second. I believe they would keep. There'd be less dealerships, maybe not, depending on the demand. But I think what would happen is, I think individual dealerships would charge different prices. They would add different markups to their vehicles, like they're doing now. And I think that's how they could probably incentivize the dealerships and maybe avoid. I don't know what their contracts are with the franchise, but they could probably avoid some lawsuits by doing that. Depending on what those contracts say with the franchises. But
Well, here's
they
the
were,
thing. I mean, when we're talking about this, realize that ultimately, is Amazon going to be the purchaser of the vehicles or the seller of these vehicles? Because if they're purchasing them and then housing them at a dealership, they're basically renting space, kind of akin to Best Buy selling floor space to Samsung or Apple. So what would the difference with this would be that if Amazon is buying these vehicles directly, which I think would ultimately be great for the consumer, but be the end of dealerships entirely, is the purchasing power of Amazon. Because remember, if you buy a certain amount of vehicles, you get a better rate. And that's why bigger dealerships
Mm,
offer better rates on
better
cars because they have,
prices. Yeah.
yeah, they have more kind of dealership money and play because
Yeah.
they're able to buy, let's say, 100 cars versus another dealership that's buying 10 cars a month.
Right.
And if you're in a small town, then you're gonna you're gonna be done. That you're not gonna be able to compete.
Well, yeah.
And
Let me jump in here just for clarification. Uh,
uh-huh.
you mean customers buying 10 cars a month at a smaller versus 100 cars a month? That's what you meant, right? Because the
No, I mean
dealerships, I don't
dealers.
think they just get cars sent to them, and whatever they don't sell, they send it back to the
No, no, no.
manufacturer.
Dealerships have to buy cars as well, so they get them. I mean, they don't prepay for them,
Used
but
cars.
no, dealerships will get a bunch of cars that, so they kind of will put in an order based on where they've been. And if you are a bigger
Mm,
dealership, you might either have more cars that are sent to you or you might order more cars, but you're getting them at a lower price point than a smaller dealership.
gotcha. Did not know that. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let's get into this. Let's get into this article a little bit here. I think we have. Let's see here. All right. So let's take a look at this. Up here at the top, it says the e-commerce giant, along with new partner Hyundai, announced Thursday. Oh, by the way, guys, Hyundai means modern in Korean. Hyundai means modern. Announced Thursday at the 2023 LA Auto Show that it will start selling vehicles on its website in the second half of 2024. Hyundai vehicles will be the first vehicles sold on Amazon.com's US store, with other brands following later in the year. So everyone's getting in on it. Why would they not? Why would they not? Let's continue. The Amazon car sales section will allow customers to shop for vehicles in their area based on a range of preferences, including model, trim. So I guess that kind of answers the question then about distribution. I guess the dealers will still be needed to house the vehicles and distribute them, right? Because they'll be able to shop in their area. So it just makes sense that you're able to get a car in your city because there's that one dealer. But I don't think you're going to need as many dealerships. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally.
All right. Model, trim, color, and features. Choose their preferred car, and then check out online with their chosen payment and financing options. Customers will be able to, like, honest to God, I don't know why we have salespeople anymore. I really don't. Other than to rip people off, I really don't. I really don't get it because that's all that happens. When I went to go buy my Camry, I have a Camry hybrid. I asked them about a $3,000 fee. At first, I asked them for an itemized list of of what I was paying for, and then I noticed that there was a $3,000 fee on there, and I was like, okay, what is this? And it was very nondescript, and I'm like, you guys need to explain this to me. They were like, oh, that's like detailing the car, like, and I'm like, detailing a car, $3,000, and then they broke down, and the more I asked, and see, the thing is my car had been on the lot for a while, and they wanted to get rid of it. My car, I think it's a nice car. I don't see anything why, Anyway, so it had been on the lot for a while, and they were having trouble selling it, So anyway, long story short, I got that $3,000 fee removed because I was like, because I found out that it just went to the salesperson, and I'm like, this is crazy. I'm not going to pay you
Well, it's
three
even
thousand
worse.
dollars to sell me a car.
Well, you probably found the car yourself. They didn't sell the car to you. You knew what you were looking for and you
Exactly.
purchased what you wanted. So,
Exactly.
did you, let's find out. Bart, did you look for that car yourself? Did you find it on the internet or did someone
I
call you
found it on
about
the
the
internet.
car?
I found it on the
Exactly.
internet myself. So I did all the looking. All they had to do was literally show up. I even brought a check from my credit union. They didn't even have to do financing. They didn't have to do any. I found the car, and then I brought payment. So what is your role? To just charge me $3,000 because you want to? And I don't, and this is how people get ripped off all the time. So, in my opinion, now I got a good buddy of mine who sells cars, and he makes six figures doing so. And he's heard me talk about this before, and he's like, "Well, that's how we get paid." And I'm like, "Dude, okay, I get it, but $3,000, I can understand, $500, $600. I get that,
Exactly.
right? A commission, but 3,000? Are you crazy? 3,000 is like the price of a like. I mean, we know how far $3,000 can go. Anyway, um, oh, and
Yeah, I could defend $300 to $500. That's fine.
yeah, but three grand is insane. So personally, I don't mind the salespeople, and I think that's why CarMax has had such a great um ascendancy in the car market because everything's straightforward. There's none of these games. You go to CarMax and they show you what you're paying for. There's none of this, you know, it's straightforward and people like that kind of stuff. I hate having to go to the dealer and to have them try to emotionally manipulate me. And I know all the tricks already. So it's usually wasting my time and their time. And usually in the price of the vehicle before they even start adding on the $3,000, they've already marked up the price as it is. It's already marked up. So there's already stuff squeezed into the MSRP. There's already padding put in there. So, you know, to me, it's just greed. And but guess what? Who's going to be the big winner at the end of the day when what I mean when this system fully matriculates into
Jeff Bezos and Amazon shareholders.
dude, Jeff Bezos and the car manufacturers, they're essentially cutting out the middleman for the most part in some ways.
Yeah.
And I think the car dealerships will be there for distribution, but some of those are going to get cut too. I don't think people are going to be. I don't think they're going to be selling franchises in the next. I don't think they're going to be selling it up until the run up to the total elimination of internal combustion engines. 2030. What is it? 2030. I don't think they're going to be selling any more franchises.
In California, it's 2035.
2035. I don't. What is that? 12 years from now? No, 11 years from now.
11,
I don't think they're going to be selling any more franchise. I mean, maybe they would sell some. I mean, to be honest, I could see a franchise still doing very well for the. Like, I could see somebody getting a franchise and just running a business for the next 8-9 years, and then be like, "Hey, I'm done. I'm out of here." Making off with their millions. So I could see that happening.
Well, here's the thing. Ultimately, we're going to have to push back the 2035 number because we don't have a power grid that could support it. And I really do think that we're going to have some Generation 4 nuclear plants that are built in the country in order to transition in an environmentally sustainable way. Because the cleanest form of energy that we have is nuclear.
Yeah, I agree. So far, the messaging is that they're not going to build anything else. California, they're not going to build any more power companies. And guys, I apologize if I sound. I'm a little bit sick. If I sound nasalized, go ahead. You were saying?
I said not as long as we have Gavin Newsom around.
Right, but I think let's just be honest. I don't think it really matters who's in office. They have an agenda that they're going to fulfill, and they're not asking us; they're telling us. As we've had several discussions before, we're not living in a real democracy. This is all for show. We may get a few things here and there, but ultimately they have their own agenda, and they're gonna see through their goals and their what they want done. So if Newsom's out, they'll bring in the next puppet, and he'll do his thing, and that'll be that. Anyway, we continue with this article. Amazon already sells car accessories and operates an Amazon vehicle showrooms site that allows manufacturers to advertise. But until now, customers couldn't actually buy that car, truck, or SUV they were researching. Amazon says this shopping experience will create another way for dealers to build awareness of their selection and offer convenience to their customers. That's true, but dealers do that anyway through the websites. I don't think they're really having trouble doing that. What do you think?
I was actually, something else popped into my head, Bart. Why wouldn't they start with just allowing people to sell used cars, like have a Amazon
I think
used
you
car,
cannot do
and just
that.
let private people sell their car right now?
That's a good point. I guess new cars, I mean, used cars technically are more profitable. They have higher margins, used cars.
Well,
So it would make a lot
I
more
mean,
sense. But I don't think Amazon really cares because they're going to get. Remember how Amazon works. I know you have a thought. I'll be quick with mine.
yeah.
Remember how they work. They charge rent basically on everything that they provide for you. Listing your car, listing your product on the site, even though it is invisible, you're going to pay a fee for that. When you sell it, so now you're paying to have it on the site. Then you pay to make it visible. Amazon is the Spirit Airways of the internet. That's what they are. You pay for everything. So you pay to have it on the site, okay, and it's not visible. Then you pay to make it visible, to advertise. And then what's the other one? And then you're paying a monthly fee on top of that. So Amazon is going to get the money that would have gone to the salespeople. It's going to go to Amazon. Jeff Bezos is going to be. It's just like an ungodly amount of money this man already
Well, he's going
has.
to be making some more trips to the moon, or worse.
Right. It's just like money on top of money. I mean, all right, here we go. Last paragraph of this page. Amazon says that this shopping experience will create another way for dealers to build awareness of their selection, not that they didn't already, and offer convenience to their customers. Language that suggests dealerships are on board with this move. Yeah, they have to be. What option do they have? This is about survival. Dealerships know that they have to do what the manufacturer wants. It's a franchise. They are a franchisee. When are franchisees ever? When do they ever have the upper hand, if ever?
They really never do.
There it is. So dealerships have to be on board. It's either you're on board or you're out. Now, there is a little bit of a, I don't know, it's a word, symbiotic relationship. The manufacturer needs the dealership to sell cars. But Amazon entering the fray now poses an existential threat to dealerships. So now what do we have? So they no longer need dealerships to sell cars. This is why I think dealerships on the way out. So now dealerships will pivot and become something totally different. They're going to be something totally different that I don't think they're going to look the same. I think there will be places where people come to pick up cars. I think there'll be places where cars are washed. I don't think there are going to be any finance guys there. Those guys are out. I think the finance guys, I think the dealerships will try to just a second. I think they will try to put dealer add-ons, alarms, satellite navigation, whatever. I think they'll try to add on to bump it up. I think they will try. But anyway, go ahead. You were saying?
Well, the thing is that with the add-ons, they're going to even have less ability to add on things, just because with an electric car, you've got so much technology in there. It's going to be way easier to track because it's already built into the car, with self-driving software, or the ability to turn your car off. If you're not making payments, think about the ramifications in terms of not making your payments. When you're driving a computer, someone else can control that computer from elsewhere.
Right. I know. Scary thought. Let me continue with this article. The structure still rewards dealerships, unlike the direct sales model that completely sidestep the business model. Now, as we were saying, guys, as we were saying early on in the video, Tesla is the proven case study for this. Remember, Tesla's selling what, 500,000 vehicles? I think just Model Ys alone a year last year. Can you double check that number? How many Model Ys they sold last
Yeah.
year? Or okay, I mean, guys, all of those were bought online. So if Tesla is selling a ton of cars online, they've proven that business model. It can be done, and it's being done right now. And just like I have an analogy. I'm glad I found this analogy. You guys remember there was a okay University of Phoenix. There's a great example of how online is so powerful. University of Phoenix is the largest university in America, probably in the world. Who knows, right? Do you know, Seiji?
I don't.
I know it's the largest in America, but what? You have anything on the Y or on Tesla?
Yes. So then basically, just to give you guys an idea, in 2020, and this is for Tesla Model 3 and Y sales, okay? In 2020, a total of 442,000 Teslas were sold, or Model Ys and 3s. In 2021, that number came close to doubling all the way up to 900, or it actually did double. 911,000 cars were sold.
Wow,
Then
all online.
2022, it increased to 12, basically 1,250,000. And just in quarter one of 2023, 412,000 cars were sold. So then let's say
Wow.
that you've played that all the way out through the year, it might be close to 1.6 million cars.
Yeah,
And the only thing that would have slowed that down would be the ridiculous interest rates on vehicles right now.
that's true. And the thing is I think doesn't Tesla have its own financing?
Yes.
And see, they can do whatever they want. When you have all that
Well,
money in the
especially,
bank, you can do whatever you want. You can offer your own terms. You're not reliant on the Federal Reserve. You do anything you want. Go ahead, you were
okay,
saying.
so here we go. Quarter one. So quarter one, actually, no, you know what? In 2022, the total production was 1.37 million, and they sold over
Mm,
1.2 million. The production this year is going to be in the area of about 1.8 million vehicles.
wow, and I
Because
think they're
just
going to
in
sell them all.
quarter two of this year, they produced 480,000 Teslas.
Yeah, I think and I don't see any reason why they won't sell them all. We're getting closer and closer to the mandated time, and more people are interested in electric vehicles. But here's what I'm saying: Tesla took the model, and here's the thing: Tesla. Here's two things that you guys need to keep in mind. Tesla knew that their cars didn't need to be serviced like internal combustion engines. Therefore, they didn't need to set up. They knew they couldn't set up dealerships to sell cars because they were being blocked, right? The powers that be,
Yeah.
different lobbyists and people were trying to block them from selling cars. So they sold online. They don't need service centers because guess what? They're reliable, super reliable, and that it's not just a Tesla thing; it's an electric motor thing. It's a software thing. So, with that being said, now when you look at these other car manufacturers, think about what they're doing. They're trading in the profitability. Keep in mind, guys, the most money that's made off of an internal combustion engine car right now is off of service and repairs. They make more money off the car over its lifetime from service, repairs, parts. Okay, so there is a perverse incentive for car manufacturers to make cars that don't last as long, or that have parts that don't last as long and break down and need repairs. There is that perverse incentive. So when they make these cars, it's not that it's not that they can't make a car that goes over 150,000 miles or 200,000 miles. Some car manufacturers. It's that some of them don't want to. And here's the funny thing: back in the I remember I used to talk to my dad about this. Back in the 70s, they had American cars that would go forever. Have you heard about this?
Oh yeah.
Those engines would go forever. And then I remember my dad telling me how things changed in the 80s and 90s. And I could only chalk it up to planned obsolescence. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I've heard different parts of that, and it's definitely true that some of those engines, you could have them sitting in a field and then get them started up after a long time, but it was also because you didn't have a lot of electrical equipment just slowly draining your battery and causing other issues.
Right.
But I do definitely think that there is some planned obsolescence built in, because you know if you could have something break down or need to be maintained more regularly or complicated enough to service, you'd have to take it into a dealership as opposed to working on it in your garage or your barn or something like that.
Exactly. Now keep this in mind. When they build, you know that when you open up the car and there's that cover on the engine,
Yeah.
is that what that's there to tell you to keep out. They put that there as a speed bump so you don't try to do things to your car. That's all that's there for. It's not there for any other reason. It serves no purpose. Cars,
Yep.
the car would run the same if you took it off. That is there to discourage you from touching what's under the hood. As a matter of fact, car manufacturers tried to get legislation passed that people couldn't work on their own cars. Guys, you have to understand
Well, it could void your warranty. That's exactly what they'll say, and that's scary.
that is scary. And the thing is it brought into question, what is ownership? What is real ownership? Do I really own this car? Or if I can't go under the hood of my own car, if I can't, and I think that obviously that
Well,
law was that proposal was struck down because what it would
but
do was
truthfully, Americans have they make a mistake. They say that they own something and they don't. You only own something if you pay it off. It belongs to the bank
it's true. That's
or
true.
whoever the lender is. And
That's true. We're getting
that's
into
why
technicalities, but you're right.
it is. And that's why I've said, he who cannot differentiate between needs and wants will be perpetually poor. It's because if you don't own something, it can be taken away by the owner. And that's where the ramifications as we transition into an electric EV car market.
Mhm.
When you're driving a computer, it can be shut down. If you were driving a 1980 Honda Accord or a Ford F100 from 1965, well, that's all mechanical. You can hop in it and drive it wherever you want because it's not connected to anything.
You know what? I read not too long ago that the police, something about the police being able to remotely shut down your car to avoid car chases. I think that technology is coming. And that
Well,
legislation's in play to stop car chases.
I mean, and I personally think that that's a good and bad idea. It's great because I'm sick and tired of watching OJ Simpson like chases all over the place with a bunch of thugs, slowing down, impeding traffic, or terrorizing people. But at the same time, I am not in favor of granting the government any more power to be intrusive and annoy my existence.
I agree. All right, let's get back to the article. When vehicles go on sale at Amazon, the local Hyundai dealer will be the seller of the record. Seller of record. Mike Sullivan, the president and owner of several LA area dealerships, including the Hyundai Santa Monica location, publicly supported the news while on stage at the LA Auto Show. Quote, we're now partnering with one of the world's leading digital retailers, Sullivan said. They've led the way in delivering customer convenience, and now they're going to help us take our customer experience to the next level. Amazon also brings massive reach and marketing power to connect more customers. We can't wait to get started. Well, here's why they can't wait. It it's going to be far cheaper to use Amazon's. Look, Amazon's got millions of eyes. They have their own app. They have their own internal marketing. It's like its own internet inside there, and they control it all. The dealerships will have a set cost, which will be controlled by Amazon, as to what they'll pay for marketing. See, before they'd have to do search engine optimization, they'd have to pay a ton of money to a company to do that, to get their dealership to rise to the top of Google. It's more expensive, more labor intensive. Now, if you could just use Amazon, it's cheaper, way cheaper. So Amazon's actually winning in that way. So they're actually offering something that the dealers could actually use. So I can understand. So he's going to save some money, but little does he know what's coming. I'm sure he knows, but he's going to make his money while he's in the game. They've led the way in delivering customer convenience, and now they're going to help us take their customer experience to the next level. At the bottom of the article, Hyundai and Amazon are also partnering in other areas. The company announced Thursday, Hyundai said it will use Amazon Web Services as its preferred cloud provider. There it is. It makes a lot of sense, and will integrate Alexa voice assistant in the automaker's next generation of vehicles. That's smart. Alexa, that's smart. So Amazon's winning. Amazon is technically becoming a auto supplier at this point, in a way, with Alexa. But Alexa is just software. You don't need to manufacture software. You make it once and it's done. I guess you update it, but it's not as expensive as having something made in a factory and then having a supply chain. You just roll it out and it's done. So what do you think about the fact that Amazon is kind of becoming an auto supplier, like a supplier for auto?
To start off the article, it said that it was inevitable, and I think that this is an inevitability. Just like I think that eventually you're going to have Samsung and Apple probably selling cars in the U.S.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Apple, Sony.
For those of you who don't know, Samsung is a car manufacturer in Asia, especially in Korea. And I believe it's just a matter of time before you could have something that's way more integrated with your phone.
Right.
That may or may not make your life easier.
Yeah. I mean, the merger of big tech, look, I don't really think you can bet against big tech from here on out. Big tech is running the show. Amazon with its cloud. I heard it provides services to the government as well with the cloud. A lot of stores rely on Amazon, especially for Christmas. Have you heard about that? How their servers can be overwhelmed by the amount of customers trying to place orders. But Amazon's, you can't overwhelm it. They have enough to supply the demands for the entire country, just in and of themselves.
Wow.
All right, let me see if I have anything else here. Okay, so in terms of losing jobs, we've got this article came out a while ago, 2022, so a year ago. VW CEO warned shift to electric vehicles could cost 30,000 jobs, and that's just within VW. A Volkswagen spokesperson confirmed Diess's position that Tesla and others' presence in Germany heightened the urgency of transitioning to EVs, but denied that specific calculations had been made on how many jobs could be lost in the process. We all know there's going to be jobs lost, especially when it comes to manufacturing, because the electric cars use a third of the parts. They use 1/3 of the parts of a regular internal combustion engine car. 1/3. That means there's 2/3 less. There's 2/3 less work to do. Let's put it in that context. There's 2/3 less work to do. So that means they can make cars faster, or they don't need as many people. I doubt they would need to make it faster, because you're probably going to have the same sort of sales. I don't think the cars will be selling faster. So what part of the equation do we need to lessen in that respect? And I think VW CEO's got it right there. We take away jobs. That makes the most sense. We do away with jobs because we're not gonna if a car only has 1/3 the parts and we're selling the same amount of cars every year, we don't need as many people. Just
Yep.
easy math. So so the big winners, who are the big winners? Just kind of in the end, who are the big winners in this whole thing?
The big winner is Bezos and the car manufacturers, because
Huge winners.
the big losers are the American auto worker, or any the worldwide auto worker, as well as the dealer network, at least in the United States.
And let's talk about the suppliers as well. The companies that would make, like, look at a company like AC Delco that makes, like, I think alternators, right?
Well, we
Need
won't
that.
need alternators.
Need alternators. It's gone. So we haven't gotten into aftermarket modifications for electric cars. In the future, I could see people swapping out electric motors per se. I could see someone, because there are aftermarket companies that do produce electric motors, and I could see them making a motor that fits that vehicle, and I could see that motor also working with the car's computer, so it doesn't do anything crazy, but at the same time providing more horsepower or more
Yep.
efficiency. I could see that, because how do I know this? Because there's a market right now for aftermarket car computers, usually for performance, but they can tap into those cars and make them perform better. And you can also make them more efficient if you wanted to. So I think the big losers are going to be aftermarket car parts people, like the people who supply AutoZone. I think this is something I didn't even think of until right now. AutoZone, O'Reilly's, a big part of the merchandise that they sell is going to be gone. All those exhaust systems and components.
Well, anything that they sell is going to be gone almost. I mean, it's not like you need a lot of those parts.
Right? Like a lot of the little, see, the thing is, when you have an internal combustion engine car that has 2/3 more parts, I think the average car has 30,000 parts, if you could look this up. And then I think the average, no, it's more than 30,000. I think it's, okay, the electric car has about 15,000 parts, something like that. So you've got thousands more things that you could sell potentially aftermarket. So there's much more of a market if you're in business for this kind of thing. Let's say you're an engineer and you want to design a better performing alternator. Let's just stick with that, or a better performing exhaust system. Now, what do you do? What do you do? What do you sell now? You can't make exhaust, can't make alternators, you can't make coil packs, you can't make valve springs, you can't make anything. All of those moving parts are gone. What do you make and sell now? I think in terms of customization or aftermarket, I think a lot of these companies, like make a quick segue, because of smartphones, right? Because of how powerful smartphones have become and how powerful the cameras have become, the cameras on the smartphones have obsolesced the entry level point and shoot cameras, right?
Yep.
So because of the loss of that market share, companies like Canon, Olympus, they've moved to medical equipment, making medical equipment or making other things, photocopiers, printers. So they had to go somewhere. So I think in the same way, a lot of these companies, if they plan to be around, they need to be planning on what the next thing they're going to make is. And I think they're going to be making interior components, maybe for cars, aftermarket. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to eke out a living from aftermarket car when it comes to performance or that sort of thing. It's going to be tough. I think only the specialists will survive. What do you think?
Well, I think that if I was a young person right now, I'd be looking into becoming a car electrician because I think that's what you're going to need.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's
It's
pretty
going to
much it.
be,
Hey,
yeah, you're going to have like some new tech programs that are basically how do you become a car electrician?
yeah, that's it. I think electricians aren't going anywhere. Techs who can work on electric cars, I think, but there's not going to be a lot of work. And the thing is because Tesla has set the bar so high and they didn't build in any planned obsolescence per se, because there's Teslas hitting 1,000,000 miles. They didn't build in any planned obsolescence, which I'm not saying should be the case, but I mean, maybe 500,000 miles would be reasonable. What do you think?
Well, I don't think they should ever have any planned obsolescence, but I think that either way, we know those batteries degrade and it's going to be a huge environmental impact on the back end. And
Would you hear
you're
about the
going to have,
company that's being started to address that? It was
no,
in the
I haven't.
news. It was in the news yesterday. There's a company that's being started. They're going to be recycling batteries from all the old Priuses.
Well, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I knew it was going to happen. It's just a matter of time. I mean, I knew it was going to happen. I mean, anyway, I look forward to seeing what's going to happen in this car market. But from what I can see right now, it's not looking good for the workers. It's not looking good for the salespeople, and even the finance guys. Those guys are going to be out of jobs as well because it's all going to be done online. Um,
Well,
Dealerships, yeah, may have a way to put some
you know
add-ons in
what
there. I
they
think that's
say,
going to be how
Bart,
they make their money.
the only constant is change.
Well said. All right, Seiji. That's all we've got. You want to any final comments?
No. Well, all I want to say is we live in a world of change. It is the only constant. And when we look at business disruptors, there are a lot of things happening right now, especially with the auto industry. And that is something that is recognized and was recognized by the leadership in the UAW. This could be good for prices on vehicles, but
Mhm.
ultimately, this is probably not a good thing for the US consumer or the worldwide consumer because what it does is it concentrates more power and purchasing power in the hands of fewer people. That is Jeff Bezos and some of the larger dealerships ultimately.
Oh, I did have one more thing I wanted to add. I think we missed this point. I think other players will come in to challenge Amazon on this because Amazon's already getting sued by the FTC for monopolistic practices. So I think other companies, other players will step up. I think Google possibly. Google is a search. They are search, and Google does have, for instance, they're involved with the airlines. I've purchased tickets from Google Airlines. You know,
Yep. On
they,
Google Flights.
Google Flights. I found better fares there than I found in other places. I was like, whoa, let me just buy it here. I think Google will get involved. Google has the technical know-how to beat Amazon at this game, and they've also got the servers. So I think Google could do it. I think Apple could do it as well. Apple will probably make it so that they can do it right through their smartphones, through the Apple phone, and I can see them connecting Siri, where right now Amazon's got Alexa. I could see Siri being a player in this as well. And maybe when you buy your vehicle, you choose whether or not it's Siri or Apple, or maybe somewhere along the way you could actually change that. So who knows? But I think there will be other players. I think we may even see a dark horse pop up. Just some company that we've never heard of could pop up, and could be their thing, where they they focus on getting the eyes. Because Amazon's environment is within their app, purely within the app. There could be a company that pops up that dominates the internet, and that's Google, as it is. So Google dominates search. So yeah, Jeff Bezos has plans, but I could see Google doing this for and undercutting Jeff Bezos when it comes to the fees. Google's excellent at doing that. A lot of people don't realize that. Let me give you a great example of that. I was buying an email extension for a website when I was going through GoDaddy. They were trying to sell it for, I think, $3,000, right, to set up email, which was insane. So as I started to look around, I realized you get the same thing with Google for like $5 a month.
Oh wow.
And see, this is what a lot of businesses make their money off of impulse buys. And this is why you got to shop around, number one. But Google will undercut people, and they will do it for pennies on the dollar. They do believe in that Walmart type presence. So anyway, I wouldn't doubt that a company like Walmart or Target would get involved with selling cars either, because they're going head to head with Amazon as well. So in the online space. So yeah, those are my thoughts, guys. Seiji, any final comments after that?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, guys, we want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. That's this week. And yeah, if you like our commentary, if you like our thoughts on this story, definitely give us a like, and definitely consider being part of the Seiji Bard family and subscribe. And as always, guys, we will see you in the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.